You've heard AI is coming for the construction industry. What you don't know is how fast it's happening, how it can either save your business or wipe it out. Let's talk about what's coming and what to do about it right now. We've heard a lot about AI. It's getting more and more incorporated into everything we do nowadays. And how do we stay on top of it? How is it going to change the construction industry? How do you make sure that you are on the right side of history as this all unfolds? I'm going to be sharing with you the new developments that are coming up, how to be thinking about it in all the different functions of your business, as well as what different parts of the business and things are going to become higher value as AI rolls out and which ones are going to be lower value, so you know exactly where you stand and where to focus, because you don't want to be left behind in this ever-changing world. It's really leveling the playing field. The number one thing I'm going to talk about here is AI development, how it is rapid. It's outpacing human intelligence. I don't want to get dark and dreary here, but we are no longer the smartest entity around, and that is going to continue to perpetuate into the future. I'm not going to go off on some sci-fi tangent here, but human intelligence, as far as basic everyday sort of intelligence, is slowly being replaced. So there's going to be things that are becoming more valuable, and those are things I'll be sharing with you in just a second. The amount and the ability is getting wider and wider by the day, more general, as I said, and just leveling the playing field across. Nowadays, the great thing is that everybody has this opportunity. Everybody's new to this. There's AI experts, yes, that have been, developing and know about it for years. But generally speaking, the average person in the population right now, everyone is starting from scratch with this and learning it. So you have all the advantages that everybody else in the industry has at this point. The second point I'm going to mention here is what are the things that are going to become higher value. So as AI gets more and more used every day, things like the client experience is going to become more and more valuable. How well are you creating really happy, great experiences for your clients? That's going to be a differentiator. It used to be like the technology you use, or how efficient you were with operations, or how accurate your estimating was. That's all going the way of AI. So now it's really about that human connection, communication, being upfront. Your brand is going to be super important. So having a proper brand in place, because like I said, the playing field is getting more and more leveled every day as these softwares, these AIs get more developed and just easier to use and more integrated. So integration as well is going to be a key differentiator and higher value as time goes on, because now there's going to be, yes, this kind of generalized intelligence like ChatGPTs and Geminis and all this kind of stuff, but there's going to be AI plugged into software, and having softwares connect and being that person that has the experience of knowing the construction process, how you can incorporate it and bring these all together to make something super valuable. So that integration is going to become more and more valuable as time goes on. Change management, super important. As a construction industry, we are notorious for not changing, not enjoying change, like things the way they are and how they've been, and we'd like to continue that way. It's just a natural course of history, and things are changing. Internet brought around a lot of change that happened over the last 20, 30 years. AI is the new thing. We're going through that same amount of change in those past 30 years in the next 3 to 5 years. So change management becomes really important, and realizing that the systems, the processes, the business model, how you do things, there's going to be a lot of management of change, and the foundation of your business. You've heard me talk about like systems as a foundation of your business. Those systems are going to be forever evolving and changing, and having a process to manage that change and incorporate change, and having a mentality and mindset in your business that we're not going to, be afraid or get discouraged or uncomfortable around these new technologies. We're going to embrace them. And that brings me to my next point with like the higher value activities inside of business is going to be play. So playing, having fun, that is really what these AIs are going to enable. Yes, there is we're going to lose some jobs, and there's going to be this, economic and political upheavals, and, nobody kind of knows where things are going to go once AI replaces a lot of, everyday stuff that we've been doing for so long. But what it is going to open up to everybody who is open to embracing it is being able to play. So I encourage you, get on ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, AIs that you've been trying, or if you've got software, there's lots of project management software, estimating software that's bringing in these AIs. I'm constantly, doing this myself. Just today, I was creating some workflows for a client, and the workflow software that I use has an AI that you can type it in and it'll create a workflow for you. And I was like, let's try it out. A lot of the time you'll try it, it's not going to be as good as you want it. And maybe you leave it at that. But sometimes you try it and you're amazed. And I'm going to be sharing a story a little bit later about the amazing thing with automation that I was able to do through ChatGPT that I myself would never have figured out in a million years, because it's not something that interests me and I'm not a programmer, yet I was able to do high level programming, so to say, utilizing ChatGPT as my programming assistant, right? So let me share that with you in a little bit, but being able to just play around with it, have fun with it, don't be scared of it, embrace the change. All right, point number 3 that I'm putting on here is lower value. So we talked about things that are gonna be higher value, things that are gonna be lower value and not as important in the future is industry knowledge. So it used to be that if you're in the business 20, 30 years, you know all the ins and outs of construction, you know how to build a house, run wire, whatever your specialty was, whether it's general contracting or subcontract trades businesses, and your industry knowledge was a huge asset and one of the main reasons that people called you to come fix their stuff or to do a consultation or a home walkthrough. Nowadays, AI is going to replace all that. It knows all the building codes. It knows all the ways to do construction, probably more than you in your specific area. So that industry knowledge, yes, still important, but the value of it is going to go lower and lower as the AI gets more broad and more knowledgeable. And homeowners are going to be able to type in, how do I repair this drywall? Or what do I need to know about this crack in my foundation? And upload a picture, and it'll probably do almost as good a job explaining it as you would and knowing the remedy. And that's when they'll reach out to you. So they'll still want someone to do the work, but that specific knowledge of what's happening is not as valuable. Office staff is going to slowly go away. AI, we thought, was going to replace, the more blue collar, the less intelligent, I wouldn't say less intelligent, but less intelligent, like heavy intelligence work, like, laborers and things like that. When in fact, those are the harder things for AI to figure out and actually more intuitive to, being human and our own, way that we express ourselves in intelligence. Whereas the top down is coming from, the white collar jobs, the engineers, the designers, those even managers. Like, it'll be, I think, more than 1 year before project managers are getting, being able to be replaced by AI and things like that. And there'll always be that human connection that'll be needed. But I think the difference is, instead of maybe one project manager being able to manage, 3 large projects, or, depending on what type of projects you have, but let's say they normally is 3 to 5 projects. Well, now maybe a manager can manage 7 or 10 because they've got this AI assistant that's doing a lot of the background. It's doing, scheduling and different things. I'm going to be getting into more specifics, later on in this video, so stay tuned. But now, and say with the office staff, it's like maybe before you needed 3, 4 people in the office to do various different jobs. Now maybe you need 2 because they can just be that more efficient, or you could have these automations set up and AI just makes that possible. So those are the kind of the things that become lower value or less as important as time moves on. So with me here, still following me, this is really important stuff. And I appreciate you for watching the video, because it is, it can be a little bit scary and almost depressing at sometimes. So I don't want you to get that impression. And even for myself, it's an eye opener. And every day I'm like testing and playing with this stuff and staying ahead with it. And it really does it's going to make your life so much easier. And the first thing I'm going to be talking about with that is estimating. So if you don't like estimating, which I'm sure you probably don't really enjoy estimating a whole lot unless you're, a bean counter and went to accounting school or classes or whatever, but it'll help you get your weekends back. It'll help you get your evenings back, because it will make things so much quicker, easier, faster. And like I said, you don't need as many of those kind of white collar sort of jobs like an estimator to be doing a lot of the number crunching with now these new estimating softwares, as well as just even utilizing things like ChatGPT. So for estimating, great things that you can use it for is if you're on like site or even just talking, you can record yourself talking, like, oh, we're going to come in, like, let's say a renovation. We're going to rip out the kitchen. We're going to redo the flooring. We're going to repaint the walls. We've got, 100 square feet here. You can use LiDAR or whatever to get measurements if you need to. And you can really compile all that knowledge, transcribe the video into text, and then put that into ChatGPT, and bada bing, bada boom, with the right prompting and stuff, it'll create a full scope of work for you that you can then plug and play into, estimating software or whatever else that you might, be utilizing for your estimating. So really handy for stuff like that. I would say by the end of this year, it's already here, but the thing with AI is like, even if it's not great and it's not quite usable to your standards, let's say like things like reading blueprints, it's going to get it wrong. It's not going to be 100% accurate. But if it's like at 70% now, or even like 50, percent right now, in 2 months, it's going to be better, 4 months, 6 months. And within a year, it'll probably be at 95% better than your average, person that would be doing that role. It's done that with, lawyers. It's going to do that with doctors. It already has in some regards. So, construction industry is no different. It's going to be able to estimate projects better, which is probably a fresh, breath of air for a lot of us contractors who, again, don't really want to be sitting down, spending our days, evenings, weekends doing estimating. And especially with, the feedback with clients wanting to make changes or revisions or whatever, it just makes everything so much easier. So other parts of estimating is, accurate pricing and scopes of work. So again, you can use it for your scope of work. And if you've created an estimate, you can ask ChatGPT or whatever to summarize it, to ask it, is there anything that I'm missing here? If you were to change something about this estimate, what would you change? So being able to prompt it and again, play around with it a bit and find the right prompts. I've got other videos on like specific use cases and exactly like what to put in and the prompting and all that stuff. So after this video, go check those out. This video is going to give you like an overview so you know how everything ties together and where we're going in the future, because the best way to know what's going to happen in the future is to create it, and you need to know where we're going in order to do that. All right. So number 5, we are going to move on to admin. So as I mentioned, admin, you're still going to need some admin people, but instead of maybe 4, you have 2, or maybe instead of 2, you have 1, right? AI is just going to make things much more efficient for everybody. And essentially you're going to need less people. Maybe you continue to have 2, but they work part-time, right? So there is other options besides, people not having jobs or whatever. And you don't need to be, I don't think we need to be afraid of that stuff. Every time that new automation or improvements have come about, it's really who's utilizing it. There's people that get rich off it. There's people that lose their jobs over it. So it's really just being on the right side of the coin. And, hopefully we can come together and make this thing work. But I'm not here to get into philosophicals. Let's continue with admin. Automation setup. So as I mentioned previously, I was creating an automation through Zapier, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know the right pronunciation, but I use it a lot. And it's an automation software. I was trying to get a specific code that I needed from a Google document so that I could make the automation work, although the input was improper. So I go to my friend ChatGPT, tell him my problem. It gave me some code that I could then plug in and utilize. I plugged it in. It did not work. So I was like, oh, all right. Maybe it's not there yet. And then I thought maybe it just didn't have enough information. So I went back to the drawing board and gave it some additional information, specifically, copied from the automation I was doing, and it was able to solve it. So again, that's where the play comes into place, is like, if in your first shot, you don't get the right output, or, it's confusing to you using this, or feels, weird or whatever, try again, get yourself familiar with it, work it a few times. If it just doesn't get there, then maybe leave it and come back in like a month or 2, and it can probably do, what it couldn't do before, potentially. All right. So long story short though, but yeah, I got the right coding for that automation. Works like beautifully, and I was super impressed with it. And it's something I would have never figured out on my own, because I have done coding, but that was like 20 years ago back in high school. I'm not a coder. I don't want to be, but there's actual times when it's super helpful. And that's what I'm talking about with leveling the playing field all around. Other things with admin is calls and messaging. So CRM softwares, there's other programs out there where you can now have an AI, and you've probably got these robocalls, and that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, it is, but that's not where we're going, right? We're going to a place where you're going to pick up the phone. It's going to be a receptionist. Somebody's going to field the call. They're going to be very knowledgeable. They're going to know everything they need to know about the business, plus much more. They're going to be able to schedule a call, answer your questions, pretty much go through whatever type of process whoever's answering the phones, whether that's you or an admin person or whoever. The AI will field that call. It'll pull the information. It'll set up a scheduled date, whatever you kind of need it to do. And it'll be seamless. You will not be able to tell that you're talking with a robot. As far as I know, there's no laws yet where it has to identify itself as, a computer or an AI or anything like that. And it's getting crazy good at doing this. And there's already CRM software that I use where we can set it up that it will field calls. So after hours, if someone's messaging you, after hours, you want to be with your family or whatever, it'll field that call, whether you want it to actually go through the call or whether you prefer just it to get a little bit of information and then, set up a call time to call it back in the morning or whatever. So really amazing features and abilities out there. Other things on the admin side is document creation. So SOPs, we're going to get into marketing materials a little bit later. I'm going to be talking about that. But yeah, SOPs come to mind as the big one. Training materials. There's so many employee handbooks, what to expect documents, all this kind of stuff, right? Where it can whip you up documents super quick. So even myself as a consultant, documents I provide to clients, they're really refined and fine-tuned, but we can customize those very easily. If we needed to with AI, we can improve them. We're constantly improving them. And that's another thing with AI and where the shift is going is now you can have very customized documentation. We're going to get into marketing and HR, but where before it was kind of you have software, you use the software, you kind of set it up to your company, but everybody's sort of using the same thing and they're getting the same outputs. Whereas with AI, now it's a lot more customized where you can create processes, automations, a lot of very specific things to just you and just your business and just your location, just your clients, and very specific, outputs, documents, whatever you need. So leads me into my next one. We're on number 6 here. That is HR. So human resources, personalized training is huge. Training is something very underutilized, underappreciated in the industry. It's often go on the job site, put on a pouch. I remember my first time on a framing crew and the boss told me to go rip apart a header because the header was the wrong size or something. And I'm there with a hammer trying to bash it and nail puller and just making absolutely no progress, but a lot of chipped lumber. And then, the experienced guy comes over and gets the proper pry bar in there and, shows me how to pull it apart by the plies and whatever. And, gets it done in a few minutes, right? So anyways, I didn't know. It's going to get to a point where every person has their own, sensei, construction sensei in their pocket with their phone of how do I rip apart a header? How do I sheet a wall? How do I, load nails into the nail gun, right? On the spot, customized, personal. The AI will be know you as well. So it'll know, it'll be so specific to that person that it'll be better than if they had their own personal teacher beside them because it'll know them. It'll have access to worldwide of knowledge to specifically help train and teach your people how to do their job better. Super quick, on the spot, on demand. And yeah, it's, again, level the playing field. Anybody has access to this anywhere, anytime, essentially. The other one is going to be reporting. So this is something, if you do daily logs, daily reporting, you're not going to get into specifics here, but again, you can phone call or voice, to transcribing and create daily reports, daily logs. Scheduling as well is another one with HR. So if you've got a lot of people that are, different crews, different people, how to utilize your resources as far as people on the sites and where to send them, that I think is coming around the corner. A lot of this stuff, again, the future's already here. It's just not evenly distributed. I don't know who said that, but it's a quote that I've come across a number of times. So this stuff is already in development or working. It's maybe not on a high level as far as it's not perfect yet, or not everybody has access to it yet. But this is where things are going, and it's going to find roots. It's going to find commonalities. It's going to reallocate people if they're sick or what have you. It's going to know experience levels, right? And it's going to be able to schedule as good as any facilitator or project manager could do it, essentially. So that's HR. Next one is going to be marketing. So we're on to number 7 here. Kudos to you for sticking around to the end. This is, like I said, important stuff. You are ahead of the game already if you're thinking about AI, because there's a lot of people that are going to be left in the dark and that are going to start to feel the pinch if they're not staying up with technology. And like I said, playing field is being leveled. So you want to be on the right side of that. Marketing. So writing, I love ChatGPT for writing. I do not like writing. I'm okay at it, but it takes me forever. If I got to sit down and like think about like like what I want to write and stuff like that, it's a pain in the ass. But ChatGPT, I can write something out super quick. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about formatting. Just need to get my point across, and it'll clean it up. It'll make it beautiful. Or I can just give it some simple inputs, see what the outputs are, and tweak it, to my liking. So for posts, for emails, for a lot of stuff, we were talking about those like higher and lower value things. So content is going to be less and less valuable over time as far as quantity goes, because there's going to be so much. It's so easy nowadays to write emails, to write books, blogs, videos coming up around the corner too, where you can create videos through AI. It's going to have you, your lookalike, your voice, everything. I think that's here within a year. Again, it's already here, but where it's going to be widely distributed and used, probably kind of later in this year, the next year, but that's coming up around the corner too. So the amount of content is just, crazy out there. So really quality, it comes down to really quality. And then, that personality as well, to make sure that you're not just another, AI writer or what have you. It's got to be more specific, and you need to give it customized direction so you're hitting the right target with your clients or whoever you're trying to reach with your messaging and what have you. So images as well, it's getting super good. I remember trying ChatGPT out just like a couple months back and was creating some marketing materials for an event that we were doing. I was disappointed and I couldn't get it to like look proper, and it just looked way too AI. So I was like, no thanks. I'll just, get a designer to design me one that doesn't look like it's, a weird mixed match of things. But now I tried again and on some other things, and I had a friend show me it as well, some stuff that he was doing. And I was very, very surprised at how much it improved just over the past like 3 months with some new updates that have come out. So, always be playing, always be trying it. Even if you've tried something, it didn't work, that doesn't mean within like a month or two that they might have, that same problem or same input that you gave, the output will just be that much better. So making sense? All right. So with marketing, other stuff is personalized targeting. So this is coming up around the bend. I mean, again, with like Facebook and stuff, the ads where it's like targeted to you, you visit a site and now you've got ads for this whatever thing that you visited on the site. That's already a thing. There's also like audience profiles. So you can get very specific, people on the zip code between this age with this income, who had a kid in the last day, that had a college going on, or a kid going out to college, to, purchase a vehicle in the last whatever. So it's getting pretty wild how targeted marketing can be. And now you're going to have not just different messaging or optimization for different social channels like, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, what have you, but you can actually get more specific targeting of messaging potentially to specific segments of clients and make it very personalized and very customized to each one. So does that make sense? Out of all of these here today, what I've mentioned with this AI, drop in the comments. Let me know, what is the one thing that you would like AI to do? And just tell me that. I'd love to know. Comment below, what is one thing you would like AI to take care of that you don't want to do anymore, that you'd love for AI to do? And maybe I can reply with a way for you to do that through AI. So stay awesome. I'll see you on the next video.